All right, welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to talk about how do we know if this is going to heal, right? So we've had a few different kind of topics throughout the Rotator Cuff Expert in discussing, will it heal? Will it heal without surgery? Will it heal with surgery? If it doesn't heal, what do we do after surgery? There's actually a really interesting study that came out that I think you should know about as patients. And so what I want you to do is next time you go and see your doctor after you've had your rotator cuff MRI and say, hey doc, what Goutallier score do I have? And see how surprised they look, because Goutallier is actually a really important piece of an important predictor of whether or not your rotator cuff will be able to be repaired, and actually after that be able to be stayed repaired and healed. Okay, so there's going to be two parts of this which are really important to understand, and a really good way for us as surgeons to determine how are we going to proceed with this rotator cuff tear, meaning do we think we can fix it? Are we going to have to do alternative stuff? Are we going to have to discuss SCR, discuss total shoulder replacement, reverse that is, discuss balloon arthroplasty, discuss just debridement. These two things are really important clues and tools for us as physicians, as surgeons, to determine what we should do, and you should know how we make these decisions. And if your doctor doesn't know about how to make these decisions, it's time to get another doctor. Okay, so Goutallier, back in 1994, described, so he did this as a CT scan. We now use an MRI, front to back MRI. We look at the pictures and the ball and the socket look like this. We go from the side, right? We go from the side here, so I gotta stand on my tippy toes because I'm not very tall. Go from the side, and when we go from the side, we actually see the shoulder from the side. And that's what this illustration is, the shoulder from the side. We talk about this actually in an X-ray terms as a scapular Y. Why do we call it a scapular Y? Well, because this is the scapula, black stuff, and it looks like a Y. That's all we can see on X-rays, but when we look at MRIs, we can see the muscle of the rotator cuff. Not the tendon, we'll talk about the tendon in a minute. We see the muscles of the rotator cuff. Because as you know, tendons attach muscle to bone. So we have these muscle bellies here that will actually, so they're kind of in here, they'll come across and attaches to the bone around the proximal humerus, around the top of the shoulder, right? So that's what a tendon does. Tendon attaches muscle to the bone. So what we're looking at is not the tendon. We're going from here, we're gonna go back here to see how healthy is the muscle itself, right? Because if you tear your rotator cuff and you wait a year, well, that muscle is going to atrophy. Just like if you broke your arm, we put you in a cast, and we put you in your cast for 6 weeks, we take it out, and your muscle, I mean, you're all flabby and jiggly because the muscle has atrophied. The problem with a rotator cuff tear, when you disrupt the attachment of the tendon, we know that if we have changes in the muscle, that big muscle becomes smaller, it can be atrophied, and we get this other thing called fatty atrophy. We know that even after we reattach it, that's probably not reversible, which means once you get a certain amount of fatty atrophy, then no matter what you do after that, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna get big again, unlike the cast where you take it out and you start moving it, and then you get the muscle bulk back. So if we look at Goutalliers, there's 5 technically. There's 0 to 4 about how big and juicy this muscle is. Sorry if that sounds gross. If we look at a 0, we have these muscles. So in this situation, this is the supraspinatus, which is the one that we talk about the most, and the most commonly injured muscle. This is the subscapularis, which is injured sometimes. This is the infraspinatus, and this is the teres minor. Teres minor usually is not a big player, can be if it's had a massive rotator cuff tear. So we look at these muscle bellies, and probably most of the time, we're gonna look at this muscle belly most of the time because that's the one that's mostly injured. That's gonna be the most severely injured. That's gonna be the one that has probably the most amount of fatty atrophy, if there is some. Goutallier says, 0 means looks good. 1 means you can see a little streak of fat in there. Little streak of fat, no big deal, that's okay. We're not worried about a little streak of fat. 2, there's about half and half. So half of this is fat, half of this is muscle. So we go, okay, that's not such a big deal. That's not so great. 3 is more fat, greater than 50, greater than half, more fat than muscle. So that's 3. And grade 4 is mostly fat. And probably, if we have a Gouttier of 4, that's a huge tear. And most of us in surgery are not going to fix a Gouttier of 4. It just means there's no muscle there left. There's probably not much tendon there left. And so most of the time, we're not gonna fix a 4. Most of the time, we should try to fix a 0 or a 1, because 0 is normal and 1 is a little bit less than normal, but okay. That being said, if you just look at Gouttier and nothing else, it's not a great predictor of whether or not these are gonna heal, or more importantly, they're gonna fail, kind of flip side of the same coin. So there's another piece of information that really helps us determine whether or not this is going to be fixable. And even if you can fix it, just because you can fix it doesn't mean it's going to heal. So if you can fix it and you're just barely, and this is crappy tendon, you're just barely attaching it and it's crappy muscle, well, maybe you can fix it, but it may not stay there. It probably won't stay there. The second piece is length of tendon. So when you look at the MRI, so now we're going to switch the MRI. Instead of looking at it from the side, we're going to look at it at the front again. And again, usually we're going to be looking at the rotator cuff specific muscle, the supraspinatus, because that's the one that's torn the most commonly. That's the one that will be the most severely damaged. So we're going to look at the Gouttier, and then we're going to look at the length of the tendon. And so we can see the muscle. There is the muscle of the rotator cuff coming across. And then we can see it thin down, and then we can see the tendon, all right? And then we'll say, over here, that's where the tendon's supposed to be. The tendon's supposed to be over here, but it's over there. So we have retraction. Retraction is another determination. If it's retracted very far, it probably is an indication of a bunch of those other things we're already talking about. And retraction probably indicates how bad the muscle is damaged and how short the tendon is. So if we look at the American Journal of Sports Medicine, 2012, Meyer et al., so all the buddies of Meyer who did this surgery, or did this study, right? They looked at Gouttiers 2 and 3. As remember, Gouttier 2 and 3. 2 is about the same amount muscle fat. 3, a little bit more fat than muscle, right? 4s are not good. 1s and 0s are almost normal, right? So we're talking about this we're on the progression of getting worse, 2s and 3s. So if we look at 2s and 3s, and then we look at tendon length, if you have a 2 and 3, and the tendon length is less than 15 millimeters, 92%, sorry, I'm looking at my numbers over here, 92% fail. So when you go to see your doctor, you're gonna say, hey, doc, what's my Gouttier score? Hopefully maybe with a little French accent, because he's French. And if they look at you cross-eyed like, what's wrong with this person? Give them a second, because it might take a little bit to digest this. They still don't understand what you're saying. It's a problem. If you have a Gouttier score of 2 and 3, and the tendon length is greater than 15 millimeters, so longer tendon, 33% fail, right? 92 to 33. 33 is not great, but it's a whole lot better than 92, right? Failure rate of 92, you shouldn't be doing this surgery. If you have a Gouttier of 2 and 3 and less than 15 millimeters and they want to fix it, not good. If you have a Gouttier of 2 and 3 and a tendon length of greater than 15 millimeters and they want to fix it, understand that you still have a 33% chance it's going to fail. And that means perhaps you have another conversation about what the other options are, and we have other videos on what the other options are, and we can link to that below too. But anyway, very interesting. This is a study from 2012, so it's been out there a long time. It's always good to remind people, maybe remind your surgeon. If your surgeon's a knee surgeon who does a little bit of shoulder, maybe a good idea to remind him that this is important stuff. Look below, we'll have the links. We'll have other links below. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, please hit the bell so you get the notification of the new videos up. Thanks.